What is up, everybody? Slotted Up 503. Welcome to Sidekicks Talk Comics. And join with me, as always, is Mr. Fat Stack O Comics himself, Rob.
Hey there, comic friends and fiends.
So this episode, we are actually joined by a special guest, the vet himself, Chris. What's up, guys?
What's up, Comic Army?
What's going on?
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad you're here. This week actually is it's my week to really choose the topic, and this week is something different. I just kind of wanted to see your guys' opinions on, like, I know you read a lot of Marvel, Chris. You're a bigger Marvel guy. I thought at one point that Rob was a bigger DC guy than most, but it turns out he's more of a mainstream comic kind of guy, more of the...
I always mentally think of myself as a Marvel guy because that's what I grew up being, very Marvel and not reading DC. But when I actually look at my playlist or my pull list, we were just talking music pre-break. I find that I actually have probably more DC titles being pulled today, but that's just because they've finally reined in the number of Spider-Man titles, although they're starting to let it fly a little bit. And Batman, meanwhile, DC's decided that it's the only thing that sells, so let's double down and then split and double down again and split.
Yeah, I'm a huge Batman fan, and I agree there is absolutely too much Batman. So let's say hi to the chat real quick. We got Mr. Las Cruces 1971. What's up, New Mexico? We got Super Jesse. What's up? We got Mr. Gary B., the godfather of the Grow Together initiative.
And the man who got me my Ghost Rider 2099s.
We got Mr. One Shot Comics and Joe from Anachrona Comics. That's the guy you guys should go check out. Super knowledgeable. He also has a podcast about growing up in New York and collecting comics. You guys, if you are interested in anything like that. So,
are you still wintering down in Florida? I know you.
Yeah,
I know he
winters.
Warm.
He's smart, right? Why be in New York when it's freezing and snowing?
I went to college in Vermont. I know. Yeah, you don't want to be there in the winter.
Yeah. So first, I'm going to go over some books I got last week. I know I don't go to my comics shop until Saturday, so I'm going to go over, like I said, the ones I actually got last week. So, real quick, just a few of them. I got Ha Ha. Number 3.
Very nice. Very nice.
Like that cover. This is one I missed out the prior week. For whatever reason, he didn't put it on my pull list. So I got issue 6 of Department of Truth, and it's on my pull list now. And when I go Saturday, I will have every cover he has of issue 7.
It's a hot series right now.
It is.
Yeah.
This is another great book. I picked the Glow in the Dark cover up last week. Noctera. You guys haven't read this. It's like Pitch Black meets Smokey and the Bandit, kind of. It's a pretty good book.
Second printing came out yesterday for that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And we got. Really, I only got 2 covers of this, and it's because I wasn't smart enough to tell him I wanted more, and that probably saved me some money. So I did spend more than I wanted to on this, but I got it. The one
Very
per store.
Very nice.
What'd you end up getting that one for?
$50.
That's not bad, dude.
That's what I hear. So
I was, mine was more than that, and the cheapest I was seeing them on eBay shipped was like $80, at least day of. So,
well, yeah, maybe he feels guilty for how much he charges me for everything else, and just gave me a deal because I got these, of course, and then these have the coupons in them for the, I want to say it's the Something is Killing the Children special promo book. Matter of fact, speaking of Something is Killing the Children in Boom Studios, Adrian APM today had, what's his name, Ross Ritchie, the founder of Boom Studios, on as an interview. It was a great interview.
Hmm.
And then, of course, my DC book here, the New Teen Titans Academy #1.
That's a great cover done by Canadian Jamal Campbell, who's based in Toronto. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm still sure you guys recommended I get that book. I was going to get that one anyway.
I haven't read it all. Any of those at all? Have they revealed who he is yet, or
not yet?
No. They teased the mask in that issue, Rob.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's pretty much what it is. And then Stray Dogs.
that could be the best homage cover right there that I've seen in 2021. I got to be honest. That Pet Cemetery poster cover there, that is so incredibly original. Like, that is just awesome. I'm not sure who the artist is, but I saw that online in the last little while, and I just thought that was incredible. You know, for those of us whose heyday was like in the 80s, like, how cool is that book?
Lauren Peretta and Lauren Perry.
Right.
So what do you got there, Rob? Let's bring you over there.
This week was the as I continue my Strange Adventures, been grabbing the A's and the B's on Strange Adventures the whole way through. The Silk Hit. Yes, this way.
That's the Momoko, Rob?
I don't think I think it was somebody else. I don't remember. I don't have it off the top of my head. I don't see Peach's signature on there, but I know there's been another artist who's been doing some stuff similar, so I don't want to say it is without a doubt. I just liked it, put it on my pull list, and that's with it. X-Men only because it hasn't hit issue 20 yet. My pull list ends on 20 on X-Men. I've never been an X-Men guy, and so I pulled the plug on that one. But I pre-ordered it, so I could, even though my LCS says I don't have to keep it, I honor my commitments to them. They're a small guy. The Symbiote Spider-Man, this one I don't remember actually committing to it, but he could be slipping in my pull box, and I'm just giving him money for all I know.
It happens, trust me.
It does happen.
The Batman, Catwoman.
Yeah.
Nice.
2 of the covers. And then my one independent, Firefly. Actually, I guess technically I have 2 titles because there's a limited series of that continuing. Then I had one book that came back yesterday in the mail that I did not include on any of my videos. That's just fun. My Harley Quinn Zero was sent out for the Bruce Timm signing and got signed by Bruce Timm. Now it's time to send off to a few of the others down the list. My plan is to work down the list and get a bunch of those signatures. What was interesting, though, and why I wanted to bring this up was I've always bashed COAs. And because I just sent this in for a COA, this one actually was one of the few that was decent in that they put a tamper-proof holograms numbered sticker with the number corresponding to the COA. So it actually means something until as much as you want to put into it. It means more than most. Anyways, how's that?
Very cool.
Gotcha. What about you, Chris? What did you actually pick up this week?
Well, I don't have my stack beside me.
Oh, okay.
Go watch his video from yesterday where he goes through it.
Yeah, I'm that guy that's always in his car, other than when I'm live.
I was wondering, it's funny, as I was watching that, I was wondering to myself, I was like, I wonder if he's just hiding out from the kids or something, or the only quiet spot. The kids are in the gymboree and he's got a chance to record a video.
It's actually the acoustics. I love the acoustics of being in my car. But no, it's just it started off being in the car was just I really had cold feet about originally the whole idea of going on YouTube. Like, there's a lot of YouTube's channels that I watched, at the beginning of COVID, much like everyone else that seems to be enjoying YouTube today. And I started watching Supplements Comics and Comic Tom, the usual suspects. That was a plug right there for this guy. And then I decided, okay, like with the pushing of, with the pushing of people behind me, the GF, I decided to roll the dice and do it, and decided, okay, I'm going to start my car. And just because I wanted to talk about the books that I just picked up, so it would basically be like, hey, I'm who I am, and look what this is. Look what I got. I'm really enjoying this, and it went from there, and then it just kind of became normal for me, just talking about stuff in my car. And then I just started to notice that when I started playing with a different editor app that I use on my phone, that I really actually liked the acoustics of it all. And then now I'm kind of, graduating to doing it in this small room that I do it here at home. And, but But again, like my new comic book day hauls will always be in my car. Like I'll be honest.
It's cool. I was just,
I like it.
it's different. It stands out. It's like fresh off the press type thing.
Right as soon as he stepped out of the comic book store, here's what he got.
And also, it's like, I have to cross a parking lot and get my mail, and then if I got a mystery box, I tear it open and like, okay, I'm in my car. Might as well just start showing people what I got. And it's literally like out of my mailbox into my car as I'm going to work or just leaving work or whatever, and just like, I can't wait. But
I wish I had a nice small enclosed space to do recording. Sometimes I get kitchen noises and stuff because I'm in a open floor plan and there's no close it down. Just a nook up against a wall.
Not all of us could be like Chip Gittler that has like the best setup.
I know, right?
At home, like, oh my god, it's incredible.
It's like an actual real studio.
Yeah, I say this because yesterday or the day before, pardon me, Chip released a video in his car, and he was just like talking about the fact that I do it in my car and that he found it challenging, and I was just like, dude, you like your home setup is what all of us aspire to be. Like that, the camera he uses, the acoustics, just phenomenal. The guy has it figured out. The pride and joy of Chicago. Yeah.
I live for the day where I can use a freestanding mic and not this headset and not pick up 800 noises from around the rest of the house.
Right.
So the show really this week, I wanted to talk about.
Oh, look at this guy. He's got a topic for us.
I have a topic actually. Like I said, you seem to read a lot of DC books, I thought, Rob, but it turns out you're more mainstream. And Chris, you read mostly Marvel, right? With a few indies on the side.
Yeah, I would probably say it's like 60 Marvel and 30-30 or 60 and 20-20 indie and DC. Now, yeah, I find a lot the Batman stuff has been oversaturated, and when James Tynion IV got on board handling the franchise title, I really thought like it was going to be fantastic because a lot of us have started enjoying JT's independent stuff. And I gotta say, my God, no way! It's just not good. Like there's flashes, like issue 105. Okay, we're gonna get something good, and 106 happens.
Yeah,
it's like I'm finding like communicating with other DC fans that Batcat is probably the best Batman title out there. Myself, I kind of like Detective Comics when it comes to Batman.
Yeah, I'm a Detective Comics fan too. There's just too many, like you said. I mean, there's probably like 12 different ones, maybe.
Right. But
right now, if you get all the it depends on if you get all the tie-ins because you got Legends and you got a new Shadow of the Bat or whatever, and Batman and a Detective Comics and a Joker and a Robin and a
Nightwing the Bat family in general.
Yeah, and the Bat.
Yeah, DC's. I have a few DC that I read myself, but turns out like I was just counting the independents on my pull list. I just read off this list right here. There's 15 independents, and this is not even all of them, just the ones that I wrote down of independent titles that I'm reading. I find they're more interesting for me right now.
Before you jump in that real quick, I do want to recognize this chat. I want to say something. Comic Burrito, I agree with. I know that a lot of people were not keen on the Tom King stuff for Batman, but I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It had a long, slow build up, but I dug the Tom King stuff. I don't dislike the Tynion stuff. I feel that he's almost gimmicky, but on some of it. But ultimately, as long as you take me on a journey, it's a character I like. I'll put up with the highs and the lows.
I've just gotten burnt out with it, honestly, and that's coming from a huge Batman fan. I love Batman. I've ventured out into like the Flash and some other DC titles that Justice League wasn't always on my pull list. Teen Titans was always a favorite of mine, but wasn't always on my pull list. That's recently added to my pull list. So I'm trying to stay true to my DC fanboyness, but independents have really taken over for me personally as a reader and as the keeping my attention. And man, I can't wait for this next book to come out. You know what I mean? There's so many good ones. Like The Break with Something is Killing the Children. yeah, it sucks, but isn't it brilliant? Makes us all want that book so much more when it actually releases.
So it's kind of weird. So I'll tell you the way I feel about it sometimes is, despite what I tell people, collect what you want and don't let anybody tell you any different. And a lot of us use that mantra, right? At the end of the day, even within our nerdverse here, I almost feel there's almost like to a degree sometimes when it comes to some of these independents, it's these like this other class of elite nerd who looks at with snobbery. Oh, you're not reading this title from this independent. This is the most fabulous thing ever, and so I try.
Way?
No,
if you're not reading the books I'm reading, then you suck.
Right. Well, and I know that, but no. And what I'm saying is that almost at times there's this kind of elite kind of subgroup that sometimes it can make you feel that way. And so I have tried, but like when I got it, I try. Oh, okay, I'll try to know what's going on with these other DC characters other than Batman. So I'll read Justice League. I start reading it. This is boring. I don't care about these other characters. The hell with you. Oh, I should be reading Independence. Great. Let me try reading some of this. I'll go pick up Heavy, and I'll go pick up the freaking dead giant, space giant, and we only find them when they're dead. And I'll go get Wind, and I'll go get this, and I'll go. And I go, I don't care about them. I don't like, thank God they're short, limited runs that the completist in me can let me get on with it. Firefly is the only one I really get. And that's because I care about more of the franchise than about anything that's written or who's writing it or goes on in here.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite Marvel titles you're reading right now, Chris?
Well, I'll show you some of the stuff that I'm really enjoying and some of the stuff that was heartbreakingly bad. So, as we all know, this controversial suit recently popped up, and this was ASM 61 was the beginning of a new arc, and I thought it laid a nice foundation. It talked about Peter getting a new job, and I really looked forward to it. Picked it up. It was satisfying. It was a little bit more of a lighter read, I'll be honest. But when you're starting a new arc, that's generally what I find what happens, especially with the way that the last arc really dragged out. Nick Spencer, I thought, dropped the ball. And by no means am I a Dan Slott fan, but I really had high hopes for Nick Spencer taking over the franchise. So this came out, and I enjoyed it. Then this tragedy came out, and let me tell you,
I haven't heard anyone say they like that.
It is a pile of feces.
Let me tell you, there's been a lot of books recently that may not say nonstop in the title, but they were nonstop. Berserker 1 comes to mind, And, so I held out hope. Okay, well, maybe it was a little bit of a cash grab. There's potential with nonstop Spider-Man, but it seems like a total different Peter Parker, not even the same age as what's in the current ASM. Then this one came out last Wednesday. It didn't last long. Again, the first 4 or 5 pages are Boomerang and Peter chasing Boomerang's pet alien that's kind of like a dog who had his collar broken off, and the thing grew 500 sizes bigger normally, and it's going through Central Park, and that was the premise of the first 5 pages. They lost me. It went a little too childish, but I get it. Maybe I'm snobby when it comes to how I feel about Spider-Man. Again, there's really cool covers. People know how to draw a fantastic Peter, but
I'm with you now. Peter, Spider-Man is my jam. It's who I grew up. It was we've talked about it. Jason and I talked about it where, that's the one when growing up, I was a bit of a nerdy guy, everything else. So you grab, it was very appealing to a lot of people, it's a must. It's on my pull list, and I will force myself to read it. But it's not something. It's a chore. It's something that I have to do to keep up with it, waiting for something good to happen. Please get Peter and Mary back together.
Yeah.
What the hell? That literally is what I am sitting here waiting for. And still picking this up is waiting to be able to get myself a third copy of Peter and Mary. Yes, I want to say Peter, Paul, and Mary almost. But that's a different group. That's a whole different thing. That's the modern age version. Peter and Mary Jane get engaged again, or he asks her for the third time. That would be great. That's all I care about.
But I feel like Rob, you touched on about the fact that some of these books are like a chore. For me, Batman, the franchise book lately has been a chore, and I'm like force myself to like it because I like the writers so goddamn much. But back to the Marvel thing, for one thing that I'm actually really enjoying is Strange Academy. This is just a variant cover, but just to let everyone know that Strange Academy I thought is just really good. And then we had last week Teen Titans Academy come up. Yep, right there, good spec book too. Teen Titans Academy I thought started off really well too, so I'm looking forward to where that issue 2 takes us. It's lighter fare, but then again, like back to Spider-Man, like it. I wish they would just get on a kick and stay on it with the character and stop messing up the kid's love life or whatever, or taking someone else's consciousness and putting it in their brain. Like with the Superior Spider-Man, I know there was a lot of fans that really enjoyed that run with Marvel and, Dan Slott. I did not. Like,
no, they were wrong. It's okay for them to be wrong, though.
And it's okay for people to be wrong periodically, right?
Like to each their own. And again,
that's why I'm not reading Marvel very much or that much DC, because you guys are talking about disappointment and like a chore to read the books. Like none of the independent titles I'm reading right now have been, to me, a chore. They've been really exciting. I mean, maybe that's just because that's like, let's see, Stillwater. The premise is it's a town where people in it can't die.
Yeah.
I mean,
no matter how hard they try, right?
No, yeah, exactly. No matter how hard they try, you got, like I said earlier, Noctera. Rob, that's a book I honestly think you should try. Yeah. You love Smokey and the Bandit, and
but
meets Pitch Black. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I sit there and I say, I think a lot of those have an advantage that they're new, they're fresh to a degree. They don't have the baggage that if you're a writer, it doesn't matter how good you are. You come in to do Batman, you come in to do Spider-Man, whatever. There is an inordinate amount of baggage that comes along with that you need to pick up and try to figure out what to do with. And, then some big giant crossover comes along and now you've got to somehow work your magic to tie into that or whatever else. And I'm an advocate for really some of what DC's talking about of getting rid of some of this continuity shit, pardon my French, but because honestly, I've never been that big of a deal about continuity. To me, it's like, I can jump. I can understand you're telling a story. This story can be independent from the story you told before, even though it's the same title. It's a series of different stories where some people don't feel that way. With the independents, they have that luxury. The writers are coming in oftentimes their passion projects they've been working on for a while. They're getting in there. They're getting to tell a story, and it's a limited run. They're getting in, they're telling the story, and they're getting out. It's not we need to keep this going for 700,000 more issues. And while you're at it, could you come up with some big event twice a year? And
right now,
I mean, Something is Killing the Children is a title that is going to be a continued, run. There's like a lot of these other books lead into some of these other books. So, like, if you watch any of that interview, it's one of the questions brought up to Ross Ritchie was is there going to be a universe of the Boom Studio books? And you never know. Like with Crossover, right? And God Country. That's another one. God Country was a short run, and it was amazing. And at the end of it, I was disappointed. But then, if you guys haven't read Crossover, they kind of tie in, spoilers, whatever. But it made me super happy that once I read that part of, the Crossover, I'm like, yes. I was like, the story goes on. And, I don't know. This is something about the independents. Don't get me wrong. I love Marvel. I love the MCU. I love DC. I love the superheroes. But as a story, I think independents right now are doing a better job of telling it.
And they very well may be. I do want to say, hey, for Anachronic and Louis talking about Superior Spider-Man, I'd like to roll back my comment where I said, if you like it, you're wrong. In that, if you liked this part where Peter Parker laid comatose and Doc Ock was running around Spider-Man, well, then you're wrong. However, if you liked once they got separated and they were two different Spider-Men, and it was Superior Spider-Man going off to San Francisco trying to find his own thing, I enjoyed that actually, kind of because it was fresh and different, and here was this kind of redemptive story that was going on, and I thought it was, and he was having to deal with the ramifications and ultimately give up his, expose the world of who he was in order to save the day. I thought that was interesting.
Right. That's two different animals, though. Like, again, but again, not to like be bash at Marvel, but there's a lot of good Marvel stories right now that I'm enjoying. Thor, like right from get-go with this latest volume, has been really good, even through the Black Winter, and now we're dealing with Donald Blake's as the villain. I'm really enjoying that. Venom has been good as well, and quietly, I've been really enjoying Miles Morales. At first, I was like, "There's no way I'm going to like this," and not because he's an African American character. I'm like, again, I'm just tired of all these spider type characters. Like we had Ben Riley.
Vet and I are going out. We're hanging out to go drinking because I'm with you. I didn't climb onto him.
And then let me tell you how wrong I was. Like, these are just good stories. And, like the fact that he's, from a different Earth or different whatever, you want to play with the whole continuity idea. But it's really good. And right now they're doing like a Clone Saga type of thing with Miles. And I didn't like the Clone Saga when it affected Peter, but this is actually way better. Like, again, it's just essentially just the same type of, they're just sharing the same title with the Clone Saga thing, but it's nothing replicant in my opinion of what happened before. But like Rob, you mentioned earlier, like I personally, I like when a character, or when we have like almost a limited series within a franchise itself. Like, what comes to me when you mentioned that, what came to me was how we had framing within the Amazing Spider-Man and two other titles when we had Kraven's Last Hunt in the mid to late 80s. That was arguably the best Spider-Man story that was ever told over 6 issues. But again, it's like you said, it's a part of this 1 to 700 journey, but it was just picture framed into just 6 issues across Web, Amazing, and Spectacular. And I enjoy when they do stuff like that. They don't need to cross over, the major events like the King in Black into these other titles. But I get why they do it. Like, they want to bring these lesser selling titles up a little bit. They want to try and give it a financial or try to get a little bit more financial money for it, right? Yeah. And crank that title up and try and get more readers into it. Like Namor, for whatever reason, was a part of the King in Black storyline, even though Namor is not, included in the King in Black itself.
How you doing there, Namor?
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's sexy.
What about MODOK Head Games?
Right. Again,
MODOK Head Games is my favorite Marvel title right now. It's Patton Oswalt's killing it on that book. Yeah. And MODOK was never a big baddie for me. He wasn't like one of my favorites or anything, but as soon as Patton Oswalt's one of my, not one of my top favorite comedians, per se, but he's one of the comedians I really enjoy. And once I knew he was writing, and I gave it a read, and I thought it was amazing. The story being told with, MODOK's family and these lost memories, and Tony Stark, working with him to get his. It's a cool book, and if you're not a MODOK fan, that's a Marvel book I definitely recommend.
What I find has been the biggest thing that I resist, the idea of some of these different titles and the independence and all that stuff. And again, I think they're great because they allow the writers a lot of times, and some of the artists, these opportunities that they to do something different. That is great. And of course, provide a different set of stories and everything else to a wider variety of audiences that the bigger companies would normally otherwise not push, because now with Marvel owned by Disney and DC owned by Warner Brothers, there's much larger corporate entities that really are still busy counting pennies at the end of the day than worrying about putting out a quality product. So the independents serve a great purpose from that aspect. But what really at the end of the day kind of pushes me and keeps me from it either is twofold. One, either my own biases towards established characters, but also just the price that we've gotten to on these books. And we're seeing DC now rise and everything else. Yes, there's a limited amount of resources I have available to me, right? Yeah. And there's certain titles like Amazing Spider-Man. This is a must collect. I have to collect it. Now, do I really have to? So I'm going to cut my arm off? No. But in my personal mentality, I absolutely have to collect it. If Spider-Man 2099 comes out again, I'm absolutely going to pick it up and grab it, right? I have no choice. But I have a choice with these other ones. And do I want to go climb on these others? Well, I'm already showing out, X amount of money we all know what our bills are every single month, and picking up, but I feel like I have to pick up this variant cover too. And then of course I'd rather take what leftover I have personally for me and go back and that's where I've been picking up these Silver Age and even dabbling in some of the Golden Age covers and stuff, doing pure cover buys and stuff that to me just are beautiful pieces of art that I want to add to my collection. And that's where I'm going. And so the independents for me are losing out to the days of yore.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I guess I'm old and I
want to collect and buy and spend your money on what you like. So and what's messed up is I read a lot of my books digitally. So I'm buying these books and they're going in my long and short boxes and then they're never really ever getting pulled out again. So
I guess I do have a second. I have a second independent on my pull list right now. I'm pulling Radiant Black right now. I forgot.
Nice. There you go, Rob. Way to step
Look at me climb on a bandwagon and ride that pony because I'm not buying Berserker.
Right. Berserker was actually all right.
It was. Really
I read
good.
the first issue.
Yeah. Again, I've never imagined someone killing another person using that person's rib and putting it in someone else's neck.
That was
Berserk.
I think what it is ultimately today I work sitting right here. I work here at my desk 8+ hours a day. Then I'm we haven't been around. I don't really. To me, taking time to read is actually challenging for me. I'm not a great reader, and for me, it puts me to sleep. So for me, it's like I'm going to go with, okay, I can look at a cover. So I mean, I have a backlog of books to get through to read, and I read some.
Like pictures,
and there are some. Honestly, you know what? And that's part of what nonstop that turned me off. And sometimes when I read some of the older books too, I mean, God, good for them. They had lots of picture or lots of text. If for somebody has a challenge reading or doesn't necessarily find the reading aspect of it all enjoyable, it's a turnoff for me a little bit. I want to see beautiful pictures. I'm a small young child.
Yeah.
You read it to me, Daddy. Record it for me. I want to tell me.
It's beautiful pictures. Read Department of Truth.
I want you to record it for me. I want you to say, Rob, you'll know it's time to turn the page when you hear Batman say, "I'm Batman."
Beautiful story, not beautiful pictures.
Right. So, go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
I was just going to say we're reaching the end of the time, but if you want to go ahead and tell people what you're doing, or if you have something left to say, go ahead.
I was going to say I'm 46 right now, and I've been reading comics, basically reading them since I was about 8 or 9. And I started off light with, like Richie Rich and Archie's digest books and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually my dad would pick me up the odd superhero book, and I felt, and of course they were all familiar because I watched Saturday morning cartoons like all of us did, and got to educate myself with those characters, especially the 60s stuff with with
Spider-Man,
with the crappy animation, right? And then you got the late 70s stuff, and then the 80s stuff with Spider-Man and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar. But yeah, and so I fell in love with those characters on TV, and so then when my parents would be nice enough to pick me up stuff from the local convenience store, grocery store, I would often get books that I got to see on TV. So I fell in love with those characters. But through the years, you know, like nostalgia kept me going back to Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and X-Men. But so I got to know everything about those books, like the writers and the artists, and even to a lesser extent the inkers and all that, and the publishers as well. And so it's now in the last 4 or 5 years where I'm starting to recognize those names associated with those franchises that I've constantly been reading throughout my life, doing independent stuff, and seemingly to have the freedom to do whatever they want. Not necessarily, I don't want to necessarily throw a negative vibe towards what they're doing with Marvel or DC, saying they're pigeonholed into what that character can do or what that super team can do.
But they
It's just
a little bit.
But the fact that then they can open up their own universe and talk and speak freely, like with Scott Snyder with Nocterra. Nocterra is actually an excellent book, and same with Something Is Killing the Children. Obviously, that I've been plugging that book since the first page that I ever turned reading that book. I just fell in love with it. Fell in love with the idea of a non-sexualized woman being the lead character, and just sick and tired of the establishment that she has to deal with while she's doing something to help humanity. So that's what that book was for me. So every time I got that book monthly, I had to talk about it. Like, everyone, you need to read this book, not for spec value alone, which is there, but this book is just actually worth the read. It's not, yes, it's going to be worth a lot of money. I promise it's going to go up in a short amount of time, but the book is fantastic. But that's not going to stop me from also picking up JT's Batman, which I haven't been liking, but I'm still going to pick it up because that's been ingrained in me from my youth. And especially, I'll always have to pick up, this guy, no matter who's writing it, who's drawing the covers or drawing the interiors, just because it's just been a part of my life, and it's not a part of my life that I'm willing to give up for any amount of money. Like you said, Rob, like it'll always be there. This particular issue has a cover price of $3.99 US, and Nonstop had $4.99. And Todd McFarlane's Spawn is still, I think, the cheapest book out there at $2.99 or whatever. God bless that Canadian. So, but yeah, that's why I read what I read. Yeah, that's the reason why I read what I read. Yeah,
I don't read 90% of my Batman books anymore. Like you said, Tinian's writing has been, to me, he's been trying to do too much with too many characters. It's like every issue, it's someone new. It's a little repetitive, in my opinion, and the story's not there. But Batman, no matter what it is, I feel obligated. It's Batman. Put it in my pull list.
It's going to be interesting because he claims he's building to something with all these new characters, but it's a lot, real in a short order period of time, and it's definitely. I mean, they're selling numbers. Look, all the spec on all these new characters, and no one knows, is this character going to be around, or is this character going to be around, or who knows? You don't know what they're building to.
Right. Yeah. I hope you're right. In like 6 months, we can talk about Batman. 6 months from now, we're talking about
oh my god,
how wrong were we about JT and what he's done? Like Miracle Molly, like, oh my god, her and Ghostmaker.
Right.
Ghostmaker is just a horrible character. But I
know what you mean.
But now I'm holding out hope for Miracle Molly because
is it Ghostmaker coming to like Netflix, some kind of a series?
Yeah, I don't know. Like again, I thought someone was pulling an early April Fool's joke on me. Like I heard that from Ryan New Guy and Mark from Legion of Comics, who said, "Yeah, so like there's talks about Ghostmaker." I'm like, Ghostmaker. Like, come on, like Scarecrow. Okay, that'd be a great series.
Well, they've been talking about there've been rumors of a Punchline one too.
And Punchline, I can understand as well because she came out of the gate really hot. And again, it's an interesting female villain that's not named Harley Quinn, but again, she's a little over sexualized in my opinion. But yeah, I could understand Punchline getting some sort of.
She's covered up. She may be drawn, but she's still got cover. She's covered up.
Jim Lee does not draw B-size cups. Like, let's be honest.
We could do a whole. We have.
We have done a whole show on this.
Yes.
All right. So
that was true. But
yeah, let's wrap it up. So, okay. Chris, what do you got coming up on your channel?
So tomorrow is going to be what I'm feeling is going to be the biggest video that I've ever released on my channel. I'm going to be highlighting books that I've been keeping in the boxes they've been mailed in for the last 3 or 4 months. I'm going to reveal it all tomorrow.
How do you do that?
It's Rob. It's not easy, man. It's painful just watching these books. I've just been waiting for one book to show up, and it's finally here. So now I'm decided that I'm going to make just one big super video where it's not just keys, not just hotkeys, not just grails, not just holy grails. It's all of them, everything under one umbrella. And I'm just going to
I'm praying that there's no damages that have been sitting there for months.
I've been I don't know, Chip. Probably tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow's a holiday, so I'm going to take my time with it. I want to edit it properly. Hopefully before 3 Eastern time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be there's going to be a lot of just wow moments for me, because a lot of this stuff is something that I've been wanting since I was a teenager, and I finally had the opportunity to do it. So I've done it. Outside of getting Amazing Spider-Man issue #1 4 or 5 years ago, this is going to be for me that wow moment that I finally can say that this is my own. And Sunday morning, Mark and I will be releasing 2 cool guys, 2 hot picks for our 2 individual hot picks for the upcoming New Comic Book Day. And yeah, and then after that, I'll be back in my car for New Comic Book Day
I'm
on
excited
Wednesday.
to see that video of yours. It's like
Thanks,
you said,
man.
you're going to be excited, and that's what's fun to watch when people get stuff and they it's something they've wanted, it's something they're passionate about, and they're legitimately excited, and that excitement is fun to watch. So,
Yeah.
What about you, Rob? What grails? I mean, you don't have any room for any more grails. I mean, what possible?
Well, we are expanding the wall at some point. We're putting a row above and below, but actually this Saturday I am going to be doing a video, the first in a at least 12 to 13 part series of Slab Hub comic book, aka comic book porn, aka what's in Rob's graded boxes. So I'm going to pull down each week. On Saturday, I'm going to pull down one of the boxes of slabbed books and pop it open and go through them and talk about what's inside of them, why I grabbed them, whatever. And everyone's going to realize that, oh, he does have stuff other than PGX, or they're going to realize, wow, he does have a lot of PGX. Either way,
we're going to be like, man, he spends a lot of money on slab comic books. Don't let the wife know.
But he gives away a lot of great ones, though. I got to be honest. Yeah.
And then well, after this, sometime tonight, I got a video I got to finish editing. It's going to drop some of 2 CGC books that arrived today, and a wonderful book from the man himself there, Taylor Winder, that he and I worked out a deal on that arrived that I did not have in my collection, surprisingly, and now I do.
Yeah. So for me, like Super Jesse's saying, she's got this idea of my birthday is coming up, midway through April, and I don't even know what day it is, the 5th, Monday. I'm gonna get, if you guys can see the boxes up above me up there, I've got basically 10 boxes to open. It's called the 10 Days of Slotmas until my birthday. It's a birthday gift every day until my birthday. I'm spoiled, yes. So.
Yes, Taylor, they did sell out.
And then Sunday, Riggs is coming up, and it's going to be an Easter special. It's going to be the godfather of the hashtag Grow Together movement, Gary B, versus Jimmy Don himself. Small Town Collectibles Easter special. Going to have some giveaways for the live audience as well as for the winner of Riggs. So that'll be that, and that's pretty much it for me.
Great. Well, then next Thursday we'll be on my channel. So if you aren't already subscribed, make sure that you hit the subscription and notifications so you know when we go live for Sidekicks Talk Comics, because God knows nobody wants to watch the rest of the drivel I put out. But at least this show's entertaining. And of course, while you're at it, you should if you're not already subscribed to these 2, which I find hard to believe that you're not signed up to at least this one since you're here right now. But make sure you also hit up this guy here and everyone else you see here.
Yep. And then like all the people in chat, Troy's Review, Chip
Oh
Getler,
yeah, that's a good point.
Actual Dracula, sub him up. Lost Crucius needs a YouTube channel so he can show us all the grails he has.
What's up with that?
Joe at Anachronic Comics, even Super Jessie, where she destroys me in the one chip challenge. Mr. Taylor Winder. Let's see who else we got in here. Warlord, every Freaky Louie, the YouTube Yankovic is what I like to call him. I mean, we have never could figure it out. We got a lot of people, so sub everybody up.
Yeah. I did. Taylor reminded me. I guess I do have to go live again before before next week's show. Probably, maybe I'll make it a Tuesday. Give people some time. But I got to do the live spin the wheel for the GP from my mystery boxes. So once I start seeing, they've all been out. Some of them have been delivered, so I should start seeing some of them get posted or whatnot. And maybe next week on Tuesday, I'll notify everybody, and we'll do the live spin and give away that GP to anyone not named Taylor.
Anyone not named Taylor. Speaking of Taylor, I got a Taylor Winter mystery box on its way. So there he goes. That was the show this week, guys. Until next time, slot it up.
Collect what you like. Don't listen to anybody, including myself, because we're just fat men with fat stacks of comics and fat opinions.
Chris,
stay safe, everybody.